Michael Saylor's view is that Bitcoin's going to compound at a rate that justifies any relative level of liability that normally would be tough to stomach, and so that's why he's created these structures. But they've been enormously successful products, and of course, he could change and refinance them at any time. So I think the main thing is Michael Saylor. Michael Saylor is changing the reality of the stock market. And the reason is that he probably will end up being potentially the largest company in the stock market, okay? Especially if Bitcoin goes to 1 million.
Tom Lee doesn't mince words when it comes to Michael Saylor's vision for MicroStrategy. He sees Saylor as doing more than just playing a risky game with Bitcoin. He believes Saylor is rewriting how the stock market itself operates.
Yet he doesn't generate GAAP net income to justify it. He's based solely on the value of his balance sheet. And but that's not new to history, because when I graduated college, the biggest stock in the S&P, a top 5 name was ExxonMobil. And it was top 5 for 28 years, 30 years, like an entire generation. Graduated, worked on Wall Street. A top 5 name was a company that was only valued on the value of its oil, not on its net income. So like MicroStrategy is like replacing Exxon in lore, because, you know, for a whole generation, people said Exxon was the biggest company, but you don't value it on earnings. Well, MicroStrategy could be one of the biggest companies in the world, and it's valued on its Bitcoin.
When Tom Lee talks about MicroStrategy's future, he isn't just speculating about another tech company rising to prominence. He's predicting a seismic shift in how markets value corporate entities. In his view, Michael Saylor's bold Bitcoin strategy could rewrite the playbook, transforming MicroStrategy into a titan valued not by earnings, but by its immense Bitcoin reserves. It's a fascinating comparison. Just as Exxon once symbolized corporate dominance through oil, MicroStrategy could soon represent the new era of digital assets.
MicroStrategy has already proven that their strategy works, because they started on August 12th, 2020. They bought 260 million Bitcoin. Stock was $13. Now they own close to 5% of the Bitcoin network.
Yeah.
And they announced a huge buy last week, but the stock is 400. It's gone up 30 times. So that's truly executed in a masterful way.
Lee's admiration for Saylor's execution is clear. This isn't just a company hoarding Bitcoin. It's a carefully orchestrated financial maneuver that has turned MicroStrategy into a proxy for Bitcoin ownership. And with every strategic purchase, the company has positioned itself not only as a software firm, but as a major player in the digital asset economy.
I think the crypto treasuries there's going to be winners and losers, because there is a scarcity to it, actually. So Bitcoin is scarce, and so it's proper for companies to have Bitcoin on their balance sheet over time. And I think banks will, because banks, as Bitcoin really does get recognized in its proper place as how you move money in the financial system, then the banking sector will actually stake Bitcoin as well. They're going to want to own it, I mean.
Lee paints a future where corporate Bitcoin adoption isn't a niche strategy, it's the norm. He envisions a world where not only tech firms but banks and other institutions stake Bitcoin, using it as both a store of value and a critical component of financial operations.
And so I think Bitcoin should really build upon this 120 before the end of the year. So, 200,000 maybe, 250.
That kind of short-term target shows just how bullish Lee is, not just on Bitcoin's long-term potential, but also on its ability to climb significantly in the near future. For companies like MicroStrategy, every uptick compounds their strategic advantage, increasing both their portfolio and their market valuation.
I think Bitcoin should be, over 1 million over time. And then I kind of prescribing to the view that there's probably a chance that maybe the 4-year cycle is ending for Bitcoin because of the way institutional adoption of that thesis is taking place. And so you have institutional and essentially permanent holders of Bitcoin coming in.
This prediction underscores Lee's broader thesis. The convergence of institutional adoption and Bitcoin's scarcity could push its price into the stratosphere. For MicroStrategy, that means its balance sheet, and therefore its stock value, could grow exponentially.
There is a certain alchemy that MicroStrategy has, which is MicroStrategy has made MicroStrategy shareholders into customers. I mean, he has orange pilled every shareholder of MicroStrategy, and he has maintained a premium, and he has transformed capital markets. That is what needs to be done for these other treasuries to be successful.
This alchemy Lee describes is what separates MicroStrategy from other Bitcoin treasury companies. It's not just about buying Bitcoin, it's about building a cult-like investor base that believes in Saylor's vision as much as he does.
I think the day the U.S. says they want to acquire 1 million Bitcoin, I think Bitcoin's price is going to go up parabolically.
Right.
Because how is the U.S. going to buy it? I mean, they can't, if you know their wallet, you're going to see every buy, and it's going to become a national pastime for everybody because they're a long buyer. I think it's going to be easier for them to buy large holders of Bitcoin. Maybe even give tax amnesty, right? That's why they're saying it's tax-free. We won't tax capital gains. They'll do everything they can to try to acquire Bitcoin. Maybe, but MicroStrategy has a sovereign put. They have 600,000 Bitcoin. That's the easiest way to get to 1 million Bitcoin.
If Lee's speculation comes true, the implications are staggering. MicroStrategy could become the single easiest path for the U.S. government or any major institution to acquire massive amounts of Bitcoin in one swoop. So what does this all mean? According to Tom Lee, MicroStrategy isn't just a company. It's a blueprint for the future of corporate finance, potentially reshaping how markets value enterprise entirely. His argument suggests that we may be on the brink of a new era where balance sheets loaded with Bitcoin take precedence over traditional earnings-based valuations. If Lee's vision plays out, MicroStrategy could be to digital assets what Exxon once was to oil, an industry-defining giant that commands respect not because of its profits, but because of the strategic assets it holds. This is more than a bet on Bitcoin's price. It's a bet on a fundamental reordering of the financial world, where digital scarcity becomes the ultimate measure of value. And if Bitcoin reaches Lee's projected heights, MicroStrategy could very well become the most valuable stock in the world.
I think that's why Bitcoin's future, the best years are still ahead. For crypto, Bitcoin, obviously, and Ethereum. Not everyone will agree on Ethereum, but because we have another generation of people and decision makers that are really growing up as in a world of where AI is prevalent in their lives and then really a token economy. So I think the best years are still ahead.
Do you agree with Tom Lee? Could MicroStrategy really become the biggest stock in the world? And is Bitcoin the key to making that happen? Share your thoughts in the comments below.